Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Denver Beer and Oil. On this one, I'm going to show you how to install BC coilovers on an E34. So, I'm going to start you off with, I have already removed the hubs from this car. So you're probably not to this point, but it is pretty simple to get to this point. For the driver's side, remove the three 13 nuts that are right there. You come down here, there's three 19mm bolts that go through those three holes. There's two 19mm bolts that go through the caliper there and there. When you pull off the caliper, you're pulling off that line. Then there's also your brake pad wear sensor indicator thing. You can just unclip that, pull that out, and then there's your wheel speed sensor. I took the Allen out and just pulled it out of the knuckle. So when you pull that out, you will be left with this. This car actually already had coilovers. They're just JOMs and I didn't really like them, so I'm switching to BCs. But as you can see, you got the three there. There's also this little pry point. If you stick a screwdriver there, that's the best way to separate it to support it. And not necessary, but I also pulled the rotor off, so mine might look a little different than you. All right, so we got the box open. You get your warranty card and looks like some serial numbers and stuff. Yeah, do a warranty claim on mine. I don't care. Anyway, you open her up and you get 4 coilovers. You get 2 fronts and 2 rears. So this is the second time I will have done this setup, and I will say they only sell one style of coilovers. I think these are the BR series, which are about I think they're $995 on most websites. They might also have the DS series with the digressive valving and a little bit more options. I had great results with the this cheaper kit on a turbo E34, and so I bought another set because I love them the way it is. But so you end up with 2 fronts. This is a front. This is a rear. So I'll show you guys. So what you get in the box, I don't know how these are spec'd. I didn't actually order these ones. It was a friend of mine, and then he ended up not using them, so I picked them up pretty cheap from him. So I don't know what spring rates these are, but either way, you can pick your spring rates. This is a front, so this cup right here needs to be welded over the stock strut tube, shock tube, and then this is a rear, and it just goes in like the factory strut. You got bottom bolt there, and then the 3 studs at the top. This one seems to be kind of like a rubber bushing mounted, and then the front has a full pillow ball with a camber adjustment but no caster adjustment. So I'll get the rest of these unpacked and I'll show you the stock tubings. So yours may or may not have these rubber caps over the strut tops. Just pry them off if you have them, so you can get to the top hat. And you have this bolt or this nut right here on the top of your strut that you need to get off. I'm not planning on doing anything to save these factory shocks and springs, so I might mutilate them a little bit if they don't work my way. And also, so this is going on a 525i wagon. There are some wagons and then M5s and some E34 540 M Sports that have different rear suspension. They'll have a hydraulic self-leveling or an EDC setup. You can, all the mounting points are the same though, so you can go to a regular coil-on strut, coil-on shock design. So it's just, when you're taking it off, it just might be slightly different with some lines and stuff. Your shock might have like a reservoir right here and things like that. But And then, being this is a 540, I'm pretty sure these strut tubes are a little bit bigger than the 6-cylinder cars, or strut shank, I don't know, whatever you call that part right there. So we're gonna go ahead and get that off. I'm gonna hopefully, with the spring tension, just back that nut off with an impact, and it'll shoot the shock out a little bit. I've done a ton of these. I'm not afraid of that. If you're more afraid of that, you can put a spring compressor on this, compress this spring down, and then when you pull that off, it won't push. But you also won't have the pressure of that helping you take that off so it doesn't just spin. If that does happen to you, you can put some vice grips on this to hold it when you do that. Or if you look in there, that is an Allen. I believe it's either a 6 or a 7 mil Allen. You can put that in there and then turn that off with and then turn the nut off with a wrench while you have a socket on there, or just hold that and then use the socket in the tighten position on your ratchet, and it will pull that apart. With the BCs, you don't need to reuse the top hat because it comes with it. With some cheaper coilovers, you have to reuse the top hat on the coilover. So I'm going to go ahead and get these two off, and yeah, we'll go from there. Let's get these knuckles apart. People say that's really dangerous. I've never had anything go bad doing it that way. And if you have lowering springs, it's even less. All right, cool. So it worked fine with the impact. These nuts were 22s. That's probably the standard size. Sometimes aftermarket struts will have a different size. So pulled them right off. Now there's this collar right here. I'm probably gonna do this for you guys. The last set, I didn't do it. I just cut right into the struts. But if you happen to have an air hammer at your disposal, this would be the time to hit that with your chisel blade. Just wring that off. This is just this nut we're trying to remove, and then your factory shock will just come out of the strut tube. I'm gonna try this one more times with the pry bar and this hammer. And then once you get loose enough, you can just spin it by hand, hopefully, unless you're in the back east or the Midwest or something, or super rusty. Pull that out, and then the whole shock comes out. If you weren't putting coilovers on it, that's how you would just replace your shock. Just put your new one in, put the nut back on. Most of the time they come with a new nut. Put it on, put your spring back on, you're there. So what we're gonna do next is we're going to cut this tube right around there. I'm gonna get the measurement out of the book, and I'll share it with you in a second. But first off camera, I'm gonna take that one apart. All right, so we're back. Look at the instruction manual. BC asks for 40 millimeters of the strut tube to be remaining. So you cut 40 millimeters up. That equates to 1.575 inches. I just went ahead and marked that at 1.5 inches. This part, I'll show you later after this is cut how it sleeves over, but you don't attach anything there. Nothing actually does anything there. All the welding is at the base of this cast piece. So it's just there. Again, your line doesn't need to be perfectly straight either because you're not attaching anything there. So don't be afraid to cut this. You just need to take off. They had to put a number in. They picked 40 millimeters. I'm gonna use a heavy duty Sawzall blade. You can use a grinder, you can use a hacksaw, like whatever works for you. And just go to town and cut her off. All right, so I got them cut. Like I said, not the squarest thing in the world, but it doesn't matter because we're gonna be welding right there. Also, these are spare knuckles. These aren't the ones I took off the car. And I told you to remove the wheel speed sensors, the ABS sensors from them. These ones, while cutting that, I nicked both of those. So definitely remove that instead of just the easy plug inside. Just pull the 5 millimeter Allen out and pull it out so that you have room and don't hit it with your Sawzall or whatever you're using. Let me grab, I still need to set my welder up. I got a new one today, but I'll grab one of the things and I'll show you how these fit. When you grab them, they just kind of, oh yeah, they go like, right, that's, so see, it fits over, and then they have this cutout to fit around there. So right here is where you're gonna wanna lay your bead. So see what I mean, how it fits over? And it's a pretty snug fit right over there. Like BC did a pretty good job. So, yeah. So you just have that there to, it's just a nice little. All right, so we're over on the table. I got the welder set up and weld some shit. Just so you guys know, the E34 has the brakes at the front of the knuckle. So when you're looking at it, and then the coilovers are labeled FL and FR, front left, front rear, or front right. So yeah, so I showed you earlier, you just slide it over. I'm just bracing it a little bit to get that gap. I think I'm actually going to tack it like that to begin with, and then weld her out. So it's important to make sure that this is, you know, fairly level with this. There's a little bit of play in that. But what I found is welding it standing straight up with that weight down holds it the best. If you could figure out some sort of 2 vise solution, I don't have that. So I'm going to put it there, tack it in a few places, and then lay it down and finish it out. So I'm not the best welder, but there's one of them welded up. I'll get the second one done and then I'll show it to you. I tacked it up there too, but I don't know. I feel like she looks all right. I will, we'll call that welded. For the install of this, I'm gonna stick this through the old strut tower first and just hand tight the nuts on. And I believe when you use the BCs, they give you a different nut. So when you took them off your standard car, they're probably 13s, and these are 12s. So what I'm thinking is go like that, and then, still a little toasty, and then put this up to it with a pole jack or something. Or if you're working on the ground, just use a floor jack to get that part up. So there's a little slot, if you can see right here, a little ridge, and then a slot on that just fit right together. So make sure you get those together first, or you'll have quite a hard time lining them up. All right, so I'm leaving it spaced off just a little bit, and then aligning it by hand, and just getting these to just start slightly. So once you have those 3 installed, you can put your brake back on. I took my brake rotor off. You didn't have to take your brake rotor off. But put your brake caliper back over the front. And then it comes to the first setup. So how BCs work is they have a preload adjustment and a height adjustment. And then on the top, they have a dampening / rebound adjustment. So for these, I am a fan of leaving them at exactly how they came out of the box. I put them in another E34 like that, and I really liked it. But how you would want to do it is loosen the bottom ring, and then spin the whole coil over clockwise to make it go in farther, would lower the car. Counterclockwise would raise the car. Then, if you want to just preload, back off the smaller bottom nut, slant, and then start hitting or turning the top nut, and that will increase the load on that spring. That will also slightly raise the vehicle because you're increasing preload, so it won't sag as much when you do that. So then go back here and adjust ride height if that's how you want to do it. But just note, the more that you adjust preload, the stiffer that you're making the spring in actuality at that point. So it'll ride worse, you won't have as much suspension travel, and yeah. So the BCs come with a pillow ball mount at the top and with a camber adjustment top hat. So you could take out, or loosen, don't take out. These ones that are all the way at the end, they won't allow you to move any farther, so you would actually take those ones out. And then you can move this in and out, and then there's 2 more threaded holes on each of them. There might even be more behind it on each side that we just can't see, in order to increase negative camber or decrease negative camber, how low you are. So if that's something you're into for fitment. But I assume if you're watching a coilover video, you already understand that part. This was just more what's entailed to weld these on. So I'm gonna finish up the front, and then I'll show you how to do the back. But again, it's just like a regular shock install on the back of an E34. So with E34 Touring, that's when I'll show you this first, and then I'll take you out and show you a sedan. So there's a Phillips here at the top, right where my finger is, and then one right there. You take that, I guess you call that a C-pillar, off first, and then you can get to that one. You can take this one off first. There's this covers here. So right there's a little clamp with a Phillips, and there's a Phillips right there under. Then you can take the seatbelt out, and you flip that out of the way. And then you would have just this giant thing in there. And there's like the Phillips that holds it there, an 8mm back here, and then some Torx. I think they were T5s, I think. They're inside these little things. As you can see, there's 2 in each one. So that's that side. This side's the same thing, except the panel right here is a little bit smaller. Yeah, and then once you get there, it's just, again, 3/13s to pull it off. Down here is either a 19 or an 18. But cool, now I'll go show you a sedan. It's a little bit different. All right, and now we got a sedan. So lift up your bottom seat, get out of the way. Down here you'll have these little things. There's like 10mm nuts on that. And then I think, oh, it doesn't look like there's anything in the middle. Then you can lift that up out of the way, so you can pull it off like so, and you get to here. This parcel shelf's already missing, but then you would pull off your C-pillars. It's just these clips, all 4 of those clips, so they just pull out in. And then once you get there, then you can pull off your parcel shelf, which is again just clips. And then you just need to remove the speakers, which looks like 4 Phillips, and then right below, or maybe I'm wrong, hold on. Yeah, I would remove the speaker so you could get in there, but you see it's just right there, and then it's still those 3/13mm to drop it out. The rears are not side specific, they just have an R. I thought that meant for right, but then they would both be rights, so then I was like, it's probably rear. So just like you pulled out the stock struts, these ones are fairly easy. We just have our bottom shock bolt, and then our 3 top nuts. And again, just like the ones you probably pulled off were probably 12s or probably 13s, the BC ones are 12. Cool. It'll go up in the air. Now, if you don't have a lift, this is again floor jack under the knuckle just to get it up, to get your bolt through. Again, just like a normal strut install. Cool. So I got my jack set up, just get it the right height, and then just like so. And then put your bolt back in. That's so cool. That'll do it with the rears. And like I said before, you can adjust everything on them. Just kind of make it to your liking. There's tons of videos on how to adjust your coilovers. We have one right here if you want to look at that one. But one last step, find your favorite beer, crack it open and sit back and admire your work. If you're interested in more stuff that we do some DIYs here and there, but mainly we have more of a vlog build type channel and build cool BMWs. So check out some of our other videos. Thanks for watching.